Infrastructure is the most important thing, right? Like if your players can't connect to your game, you lose your players, you lose your revenue, you lose, your brand that you've worked so hard to establish. The term that people use for it sometimes is a backbone.
Yeah.
And it really is. Like you don't notice it when it's doing its job correctly, but as soon as it's missing, like we're just blobs on the floor.
Yeah, right. What's important when you're building out infrastructure for games?
Scale, obviously. Speed, so the ability to build something quickly, to adapt quickly. How fast can you get into a match? That could be just a lobby server, and so how much do we build that out? Think about all these pieces within the game that a lot of players don't see, but underneath it, we're supplying that. The funnel, so to speak, from a user registering or downloading and actually getting into the game is very complex. Time is money, so when users aren't in the game and they aren't playing, you're losing money. You're potentially losing users and players.
The infrastructure supporting 10 players in a network environment is much different than supporting, say, 50 million monthly users. Infrastructure is really core to that. So if you build a scalable infrastructure that's fault tolerant, it's a lot easier than just kind of hoping it works.
Having been a part of really scrappy teams, I can totally understand why you would hope that you've got the right infrastructure and believe that you can improve your infrastructure later. It's just very dangerous, right? Because within the first few days of launch, if players can't get in and the lingering impression was that they couldn't play, that can be really damaging.
You'd be surprised when people are so caught up in the day-to-day operations and the functions of holding things up, they don't think about how to prevent someone from coming in and knocking it down.
For us, the challenge has always been when you're working with development teams and they're building a game, how the infrastructure is set up when they're developing it, and then once they hand it over, how we publish it, and is there a match for that?
If games aren't designed with security in mind when you're actually creating them, it's sometimes too late to just slap security on at the end and call it a day, because if it's architectured in not a very safe way, adding a couple pieces of security on the edge aren't going to save you.
The video game industry is the single most attacked industry. I think there are a lot of reasons. I think that there's a culture overlap, and gaming is so dependent on a stable network and stable servers that it's really easy to disrupt. It's just an easy target. I think game publishers need to have a plan for long-term security.
The people you attract into a game are people who like to play with things, and hacking is literally just playing with the system and finding ways in. So the crowd of hackers tends to overlap pretty well with the crowd of gamers you have out there in the world.
We think about security a lot. We, in fact, do internal auditing a lot. So we're trying to hack our own systems to see if there's any flaws, because no one wants to be in the news.
We're getting to a point where waiting is going to feel really old-fashioned. There's still an opportunity in many businesses, and certainly in gaming, to make the experience better and easier. It's our job within this industry to make it possible for any game to be playable by anyone, anywhere, as soon as they want to play it.
Waiting for things to happen is never good. Attention span is measured somewhere around 8 seconds. If you take more than 8 seconds to start something up, you're starting to get into trouble. There's friction. The good thing I noticed about some of these games, like say Mass Effect, the series, it was like a joke at first that you would go into the elevator and you'd wait for a couple minutes just listening to music play, right? And it's like, they thought that was maybe a clever way to help people deal with the pain of loading a new level. But now it can move around your entire ship and never see a loading screen.
There are a lot of games out now where you start downloading and it'll load and start playing.
Yeah.
And so you're playing through that first part of the experience while the rest of the game is actually streaming into the background.
Where do you feel infrastructure's headed in terms of the investment, in terms of innovation?
I think all positive directions, everything being cloud-based is helping. I know there's a lot of people that are aspiring to be kind of the Netflix of gaming, and I think we'll get there. These generations of players are very much the now generation. They need content immediately. We did go from movie companies shipping us DVDs to now just 2 button clicks on your remote and you're watching a movie. There's no doubt in my mind that in a short period of time that will be the same for video games.
If you look at gaming culture, something special about it is how global it is, and it has been forever. I grew up playing Japanese games, and there are kids in Japan playing games that are developed in Ukraine. and there's really no borders. In many ways, gaming requires a level of expertise in terms of technical infrastructure that many other industries don't need. Games are highly technical products that involve complicated networking, that involve large files, and you've got players all over the world on many different devices, and that's just not easy to deliver to. You need a partner who can support that level of scale. That's just the practical reality. Successful games come in all shapes and sizes. They come from teams who are passionate about the culture of games. They come from different development processes, but their infrastructure can be a stable foundation for helping you deliver the most awesome game.